everybody, welcome back to the Woodzelli channel. Today we are doing a faction guide for the Greek or the Hellenistic factions. So let's get right into it with the Greek cities. So you have, as the Greek cities, you have cities all over the place. You've got Thermon, Sparta, Syracuse, Pergamum, and Rhodes to start. So I'm going to focus on those three different areas. We got Sicily, the Greek mainland, and then Anatolia over here. So first, in Syracuse, your army in here can actually take Messana turn 1. The Scipii will have their army standing right out here, and you can, it's a famous battle, but you can definitely win that battle with the troops that you have there. And then it's a matter of taking Lilybaeum, which is actually easier than you think it is, because although Carthage also has an army, you can take out that army if you want to, but most games, Carthage will put that army into a boat, and you can just sink it with your own ship, and then you don't even have to fight that army. So you can deal with Carthage that way. And then building those boats is actually going to be super helpful, because all three Roman factions will be landing their armies on Sicily, trying to take your cities from you. So it's advantageous. Like, I built a huge fleet just to patrol the waters and stop armies from showing up. And even then, armies still showed up. So yeah, just be aware of the Romans coming to you. Speaking of them, Bruttii will also send a ton of ships like straight to Thermon, like turn 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever. So you got to be aware of that. But moving on to this part, or the Greek mainland of the Greek cities, you have an army in Sparta that can take Corinth, because the Macedon has like nobody in Corinth at the start. So take your army out of Sparta and attack Corinth immediately. And then in Thermon, get them started on the road to Larissa, and then when you take Corinth the next turn, because it's one of the settlements that starts with stone walls, so you can't, you have to build siege equipment, and it's a little tougher, but after you take Corinth, you move that army to Larissa. Athens is a rebel settlement at first, and so you can kind of afford to ignore it. It's super, super profitable, but you want to take Macedon out as soon as possible, so you don't have another enemy, another like front to worry about. You want to put that front away from this core of your cities as much as possible. And to that end, don't go for Crete, this Kydonia city on Crete, for a good chunk of the game. Make sure you got your core settled down, because you're going to be moving up, and then Bruttii will be coming in. You're going to be dealing with Sicily, and then you're also going to be dealing over here with Anatolia. So this is maybe one of the easiest areas of Greece. I don't know if easy is the right word, but your armies from Pergamum and Rhodes you should join them up. Take Halicarnassus, which will just be helpful. Even though it's a rebel settlement, it's nice to get another foothold into the mainland. And then from that, you can attack Sardis, the Seleucid Empire city. And you can actually make peace with them like almost right after, because they're going to be at war with Egypt and Parthia and Armenia at the same time. So they are very happy to make peace with you. So take the city and then make peace with them and leave it alone. And then come up to Nicomedia, which Pontus usually is taken. You fight them off, and you just kind of take Pontus down. Pontus is pretty easy to take down early game, especially. So the quicker you do this, the better. And then as Greece, you got to take out Thrace as well if you're playing for the short campaign victory. So just move on up. I mean Greece is kind of an interesting faction, because it is difficult in the fact that you have all these different fronts you have to balance between, but you have so much money. Like, look at this. I'm getting 16,000 a turn, and it's like 20 turns into the game. Like, that's insane. And I was getting like 10,000 5 turns into the game. These cities are just so profitable that you're going to be making, boatloads of money. So you can just afford to make all the armored hoplites in the world and Greek cavalry, and you just move north. One other final thing I will say really quick is that you start out with a unit of Spartan hoplites in Sparta, and it's going to be a while before you can make it, just because you have to have Sparta or Syracuse get to 12,000 population, which you should prioritize if you can. But you don't really need it. Armored hoplites are good enough for your army, but Spartan hoplites are, they're fun. They're just incredible. But they are more expensive. That's why armored hoplites work. But I've seen people sometimes leave their Spartan hoplite unit alone in Sparta to defend. Why would you do that? You've got to use it. Use it or lose it. This guy just saved me in so many different battles. The Spartan hoplites just hold for forever. So definitely use it. Even though he's only at 27 units right now, he got me through like so many different tough battles. I mean, I mean, absolute goat Spartan hoplite. So if you want to delay your game until you can get Spartan hoplites and then have fun with that, go crazy. But if you want a quick victory, if you're looking to steamroll, then follow the instructions I gave before that. And eventually you'll get up into Thrace, and you will... I brought 2 armies so I could auto-resolve this one for the video. A clear victory, and you will have the gods smiling on your work, and victory will be yours. So with that, let's now move on to Macedon. Macedon is like if the Greek cities had none of their problems. They don't have the different borders that the Greek cities do. They've got stronger cavalry. In fact, some of the best cavalry, maybe the best cavalry in the game, with these Macedonian cavalry and then companion cavalry. And even their light lancers are actually what I use all the time because they are incredible for light cavalry with a morale of 8. I mean, they're not, the best unit in the game, but when everybody else is using their early game units, light lancers were super, super, super good. They've got decent enough spearmen to deal with everything that comes their way there royal pikemen are pretty good. I mostly used the one before it, phalanx pikemen. I didn't get to royal pikemen in my little stint of the short campaign victory, but royal pikemen are also super good enough to hold your front lines. And they start with Bilazora, Thessalonica, Larissa, and Corinth. So they've got this line of cities where they can just take the Greek mainland as their own and get all the money that comes from this area immediately. And you're not worrying about balancing different things. I mean, Macedon is just one of the easiest, in my opinion, one of the easiest campaigns in Rome Total War. Corinth, you can take on Sparta immediately, Larissa, Thermon, because Thermon, the Greek cities army in there is basically a bunch of skirmishers and militia cavalry, so that's a pushover. Sparta, not a problem, and then you can get over here to Pergamum and take them out and start working this way. Rhodes is not even that much of a problem, and Thrace is, they've got skirmishers and militia cavalry for their entire army, pretty much, not just in Thermon. You got to worry about the Romans, of course, always a little bit. They're going to annoy you and spam you with the anti-player bias, but really, you make a ton of money. You've got great cavalry, great infantry. You've got siege equipment if you want. You've got great archers, you've got adequate archers. Like, they're not a weakness. What's there to say about Macedon? You have great armies and you got a lot of money. So take out the 2 Greek settlements, and then these are rebel. So you basically have got only Bruttii to deal with, and then you expand north to take out Thrace and over here, and you're running away with the game. And eventually, pretty soon, you will have a clear victory, and okay, we got the Colossus. Okay. You will be the mightiest power in the world, unassailable by any external threat. So that's how you get victory as Macedon. With that, let's now go to the Seleucid Empire. Seleucid Empire is a faction that will really depend on your skill level. For a newer player, they're one of the hardest factions. They're really spread out, and they've got a ton of different frontiers they have to deal with, but a good player can balance that out until the later game, where they benefit from some of really good infantry, some good phalanxes and silver shield pikemen, and they can even get legionnaires. Really good cavalry. They've got all the same cavalry as Macedon, but they can also get cataphracts and war elephants, armored elephants. And then, your roster is just crazy if you can survive till the late game. So how do you do that? What I like to do is make an alliance with Pontus that will be temporary. Pontus will 100% break it, but it gets them off your back for a little bit, buying you a little bit of time over here. And with that time, you can use all of your manpower in this region from Hatra and Damascus and Antioch to run over Egypt, because their cities are really profitable for you, and they are a big enemy. So you want them out of the way as soon as possible. And once you get them, that'll be a nice little frontier where Numidia is not really going to attack you with their one settlement here. And even if they do, you take that, and then there's nobody for a long time. So you're going to be safe here. and you're going to be able to focus northward. Over here in Seleucia, you're going to want to immediately attack Parthia and Susa, which is a nice city to have, and then move up north and take Arsacia, and then see if you can make peace with them, because you don't want to deal with them being alive with that one city and having boats dropped off here. It just annoys. So if you can make peace with them, great. And then you just move over into Armenia, and you can do that all with the armies you get from these two cities. They'll be able to produce enough for you to take on Parthia and Armenia, because they're not actually that great, especially by the well, they can be, but not by the AI. So you're going to be able to take them out. Watch out for horse archers; those will be annoying. So you're going to have to deal with them, but you will be able to do it. Over here, Armenia is just going to take Hatra. If you try to defend it, you're going to let Egypt build, and they will start getting good units and be a real problem. So you're going to have to abandon Hatra, really. I mean, leave a unit of peasants, but put all of your militia hoplites down here. But let Armenia take it, and then once you're done with this kind of area of Egypt, you can split your forces a little and send most of your armies down here into Egypt, but then you can retake Hatra and deal with all their armies that they send down through the mountains. Meanwhile, over here, you want to kind of shore up your sphere of influence, I guess, over here. And so what I like to do is take Halicarnassus and Incria, the rebel settlements, because you don't want to start another war with Greece. You don't want to involve them. And you don't want to go back on Pontus. You want to wait for Pontus to go back on you. And so now at this point is when I would start producing military, a strong military here and in Tarsus and from Antioch, and taking out Pontus. But that's the trick. It's I mean, I'm making it kind of sound simple, but it is really tough because you've got militia hoplites and militia cavalry for this part, and that's pretty much it. And you're gonna have to be balancing 1, 2, 3, 4 pretty, I mean, one serious enemy and then 3 formidable enemies, if not super good enemies. It's a lot to deal with, but once you get to those good units, you are going to be running over people. So, and it is really fun as the Seleucid Empire to consolidate your empire and become this powerhouse that eventually takes on Rome. So, if you're looking to test your skills, I would go as the Seleucid Empire if you're as a Greek faction. So, they are definitely super fun. And then pretty soon you'll take down Egypt, and actually I think I have to fight this one, so give me a second. You can celebrate thanks to your noble leadership. So yeah, that's how you win as the Seleucid Empire. And with that, let's go to the final Hellenistic faction, Thrace. Despite having the coolest colors and cool name in Rome Total War, Thrace is one of the worst factions. It just is. I mean, you've got 5 different factions whose victory condition is to defeat you. One of which is Pontus for whatever reason. I don't actually know why. So if somebody could clear that up for me, that would be awesome. But you've got 2 settlements to start. You've got an angry Dacia, an angry Macedon, an angry Greece, and an angry Pontus for whatever reason. So I make an alliance with Scythia because they're the only ones. They actually want to kill you too, but you can, I mean, Scythia's not that aggressive, so you can make them stay away for a little while. Okay, hold on. I gotta start over. 3, 2, 1. Despite having a cool name and the coolest colors in Rome Total War, Thrace is one of the most difficult factions. 5 other factions have it in their short campaign victory condition to take you out. Dacia, Scythia, Macedon, Greece, and Pontus for whatever reason. If somebody can explain that to me, please do in the comments, but I don't know why Pontus is one of them. So you start out with these 2 settlements and like no money. So I mean, even no money, I'm using like all the money I get right now, even though I'm getting 10,000 a turn. So at this point, but early on, it is tough. So what I like to do, you get a diplomat here, make an alliance with Scythia. They usually hold up their end pretty well. Just keep an eye on them. If they're creating a giant army here, then maybe start building up some defenses. But they will generally leave you alone. Then your armies from here need to go on and take out Dacia, and your armies from here need to go out and take out Macedon, which you can actually do in the first few turns. Don't take Byzantium for the first little while, like until you've taken over Macedon. Send all of your army to Thessalonica, and you can actually take out that army with the army you start out with, and then take Bielizora out, and you can actually do that. It is tough, but it is doable. And then once you take those two, they will start giving you a little bit of money, and Thessalonica is a decent enough city that you can start getting good-ish units. I mean, because you are Thrace, your roster is atrocious. You've got Greek cavalry from your stables, and then your infantry, you've got militia hoplites. They're trash. They're militia hoplites. Foxmen, which I actually don't like because they have no armor. They get torn apart by cavalry charges and archers, and even and you're going to be going up against phalanxes, so they're not going to be good enough. Phalanx Spear pikemen are okay, but you have to get to a tier 3 city to get them. And then Bastarne, they're good. They're not my cup of tea. I don't actually love using them for similar reasons as the Foxmen, but they are decent, so you can use them. But again, you have to get a tier 4 city, so that's not happening for a while. But, you know, Thrace, and then they've got skirmishers, and that's it. I mean, you're fighting a ton of these battles with skirmishers and militia cavalry from your starting army. So it is just tough, just all around tough. And like I said earlier, it is super tough to get money going early on, but you're gonna have to work with what you got. So you're gonna have to be fighting some tough battles to take out Dacia with your limited army and Macedon with your limited army. But once you get going, you can roll over Dacia and then just kind of move along in that little curve and then come down, because the Brudii are gonna be taking out Greece as well. So you're gonna have to deal with them as usual, as all the other Greek factions aside from the Seleucid Empire do. But then you move down here and then you start getting money. You got to that 10,000 a turn and things start working out. I mean, once you get money, you can do pretty much anything in the game. So yeah, that's it. You just have to take out Macedon and Dacia, and then those are your victory conditions. But Thrace is really, it's not very much fun. I don't know. There's nothing to work towards for me is the issue with Thrace. You're just gonna have terrible troops the whole time, which is kind of fun. I mean, like, their position is fun, going up against all these different people and having to balance that out, but there's nothing to work towards. So if you like Thrace, I'm glad, because they have great colors, and I wish they'd given the colors to somebody else. I mean, look, they've got the snake too as their icon. I mean, just an incredible looking faction, but the actual play is not great. So yeah, that is Thrace, and pretty soon, if you do all that, you will, hold on, I gotta fight this one too, you will have an empire, not a mere kingdom overlooked and treated with contempt by others. You're going to bring victory by your superior command skills and have a Thracian banner on the walls of many towns and cities. So that's how you win as Thrace. Let's now let's rank them. Let's stay on this Thrace campaign. So if you probably have picked up on it by now, but the number 1 is Macedon. They've got a concentrated core of good cities. They've got great cavalry and infantry, great roster, not a ton of problems. They can run the world very, very quickly. Next, I would say Greek cities. They're a little spread out, which is tough, but they've got great infantry, and they've got decent enough units elsewhere to make up for it, and they've got a ton of money. They have options to get cities that will just generate them so much money that they can create armies and roll over all their opponents. Third, I'm going to go Seleucid Empire. That one is where it starts to get really tough, but if you're an above average player, you can make it work and you can deal with it. And they've got an incredible roster, one of my favorite rosters in the entire game. So they're a really fun faction. After watching this video, go on and play a Seleucid Empire campaign, because they are a really fun faction. I really enjoyed them. And then finally, fourth, last, obviously, got to be Thrace. They're just terrible roster, not much money, a ton of enemies, and personally, not a ton of fun for me, but I hope you guys enjoy Thrace, and let me know if you do. I don't know very many Thrace enjoyers, so it'd be nice to know that there are some out there. So that's your ranking. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this guide helped. I hope you go play a Seleucid Empire game or one of the factions based off of this guide, and I hope you have please subscribe and like the video, and I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your day.